Hi students, and welcome to Music Technology in the Age of a Pandemic. I'm really excited actually that we kind of have this opportunity to use more technology. So this video is just to get you set up for the finale portion of our course, and there are already a lot of finale video tutorials that I've created, and you can find those on the Sister Crawford channel. So part of today is to show you all the resources and the assignments, and then just kind of get you going in finale. So let's begin. Our first order of business is just to figure out what's happening with finale. You are going to want to go to finale so that you can download the free subscription. So if you go to finale, now, this is one option. You also can get Finale for $99 by going into our bookstore on campus. I recommend that, not because I think Finale is the best notation software, but for $99, what you're getting is really incredible. And you do have to go into the bookstore to get it on the little registration card. However, if for some reason you don't want to spend $99, there is a free trial. So we click over here on free trial, and this is a full 60-day trial version of the latest version of Finale. You can export and you can save. You'll be able to do everything that you want to do. Once your trial ends, you won't be able to do anything with your projects until you purchase the software. So whether you do it now or later, take advantage of the fact that you can get a $99 full version of Finale at the BYUI bookstore. Okay, so if you are going to do the free trial, make sure you download for the proper operating system, and of course just follow directions. I'm not going to go through that with you. I feel like you guys are all savvy enough to download software successfully. Okay, so now let's head back over to Canvas and just take a look at where we are. We're going to click on modules, and we're going to go down to the final module of the course, which is what I call Fun with Finale. Here we go. So the first element in this module is the Finale tutorials, and this is a link, and it's going to take you over to the Sister Crawford YouTube channel. Now, over the many semesters of teaching this course, I have made a lot of video tutorials. So you'll see tutorials, they are titled based on what tool they are showing you. I need to warn you though, as you watch these tutorials, watch them only to get help with the tools. I might make some comments about, oh, you don't have to do this for this assignment. Ignore any comments that I make about assignments. When I made the tutorials, clearly there were changes to the assignments. Just watch them to learn the tools, okay? So that's your first major resource. Let's click back over to iLearn. So there are 4 Finale assignments: a hymn, a string quartet, a wind quintet, and a Sousa march. And they increase in their level of difficulty. Really, none of these are difficult. It's just getting used to new software. Now, if you feel strongly that you have a ton of software experience, I embrace that. And you need to next email me your most complicated project. Don't send me every project you've ever worked on. Show me your biggest project. I need to see what tools that you know how to use already, and then I will excuse you from the assignments that you don't need to learn. Also, if you feel strongly that you don't want to use Finale, you are welcome to use any software that you desire. We provide Finale to you at a discount on campus, and then obviously for free if you go into the labs. But if you are already committed to Sibelius or Noteflight or MuseScore, you're welcome to use those. Just be aware that the quality I will expect out of your finished product is really, really high. So if you submit those projects and they don't look right, I'm going to say you need to go back and learn how to use your software better. So be prepared for that. Okay, so there are 4 assignments, and with each assignment there are instructions, and this will essentially tell you where to find tools and what tools you're going to use. The assignments also include a score, and you are going to want to replicate these scores pretty closely to the original. There will be some exceptions as we move into these projects. I will tell you, don't worry about this or don't worry about that, because it's not worth trying to replicate within Finale. But for the most part, you really do need to replicate these assignments. If you have any questions about the assignments, you can always email them to me and I'll answer your questions That's always a given. Okay, so now let's actually open up Finale. So I'm going to come down here, click on Finale. When Finale first opens, you will see this document wizard. And from here, there are several different places you could go. You can go into the setup wizard that walks you through step by step creating a new project. You can go into templates, which has preset ensembles and score setup. Default document, some other things too. You can see there's your recent files. We are going to start with work in templates. Okay, and so for your first assignment, we're going to do a hymn. So as you look at these templates, obviously I'm not going to show you everything, but please be aware that these exist. There are band templates, okay? Marching band, jazz band. There are choir templates, barbershop female, barbershop male, SATB, okay? Church templates, education. Click through all these just so you know what's available to you. We're going to do a hymn today, so we're going to click on church templates and we're going to click on hymnal. We are going to begin this with the title. And so this is when you're going to want to make sure that you have the score in front of you or on a split screen. I recommend, if we were in class, I would have printed out all these packets and given them to you so you would have something to consult with. Do whatever you need to do because you need the score in front of you. Okay, and then you're just going to answer the questions. So, title. Whoops. All right, and then there is a subtitle. You'll see this will pop up right below the title in slightly smaller font. We don't have a subtitle. We're going to put the composer, actually, we're not going to put this in at all. If we put in the composer here, it's going to go at the top of the hymn, and we're going to end up creating a text box to put it down at the bottom. So don't worry about that right now. Just leave that blank. Arranger, lyricist, great. There is this copyright symbol. This hymn is not copyrighted. We're going to go ahead and delete that, only to demonstrate to you that when we go into the document, it will still be there, and we'll need to do it again. All right, we click next, and then again, just answer the questions. This hymn is in 3/4. Come down to the key signature. If it's a major key or a minor key, definitely select that. This is a major key. If we go up, there's our sharp keys. If we go down, there are our flat keys, and we are in E flat major. Number of measures. Again, once you get into the document, you can change this, but we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 measures. So that'll get us going. We always, this needs to be the third rule of music technology. When you are working in notation software, you will always specify the initial tempo marking. That is for your musicians. When you hand musicians a piece of music, they should know how fast to be performing this. So our text is with conviction, and then we're going to put in our tempo. And you can see with these arrows, we can change our unit of time. So be really mindful of this. Look at your time signature and make sure you have selected what you want. Ours is quarter note equals 80. Now, on the hymnal, it says 80-96. You can't put that in at this point. It won't stay. It'll drop off, the dash and the 96. We'll add that back in. If you had a pickup measure, you would want to be sure to check this box and then put in the duration of the pickup. We don't have one, so don't worry about it. Now we're going to click finish. Now, the bigger your score is, the longer that can take. So don't panic if you're working in a full score and you set all that up and you have like 35 instruments. You're going to see it working. Don't panic though, okay? All right, so here we are. Here's our score, and it looks like a hot mess. But before we get too worried about that, let me just give you a tour of your workspace. So you're looking at my setup, and this is how I like to have it set up. And everyone does this differently, but a few things you should know. All these tools, unless you lock them, will disappear after you use them. And just like all the software we have used this semester, you have to constantly remind and click on the tool that you are in. So first things first, let's make sure that you see the tools that you want. Now, Mac users, I'm going to warn you, your user interface is very different, and you're going to have to do some clicking around. You might need to go up here, click on help, go out to the user manual. You're going to need a little bit more help. It is very different on Macs. They don't have a standard interface. Some software like Adobe Premiere Pro, the interface is exactly the same whether you're on Mac or PC. not finale. Okay, so I want to make sure I always see these tools. So I'm going to come up here to this kind of light gray color and do a right click. And here you'll see all these palettes. Make sure that the following, well, this is what I recommend, that these tools are selected to always be on your workspace. The main tool palette, the advanced tools palette, navigational tools palette, simple entry rests, smart shape, and special tools. There's also a few more palettes, and you are welcome to put those on your workspace. I don't choose to do that, okay? Now, we need to make sure that those palettes don't disappear when we're not using them. So the next step is to come over here to Edit, click on Preferences, and click on Palettes and Backgrounds. There's this line right here, Close Subsidiary Palettes when leaving tool. We do not want to close those subsidiary palettes. We want them to stay open. So this should not be checked. Yes, speaking in the negative, always confusing. Make sure it looks like mine. None of these should be checked. That's good. We want those tools, those palettes to stay open. While we're here, friends, let's come on up here to save and make sure your autosave is on pretty frequently, okay? So I have mine set up for every 5 minutes. That's not going to hurt anything, okay? Great. If you made any changes, you want to make sure you hit apply. I didn't actually make any changes, so mine's not lit up. So I'm just going to click on OK. All right. Now, a few other tools that you should be aware of. Zooming in and out. This is kind of your classic Control++. That will let you zoom in. There is your view right here, and you can adjust your zoom right there. But the shortcut is Control++. Now let me talk about shortcuts. Are there shortcuts to this program? Of course there are shortcuts to this program. But I don't teach shortcuts. A few things you should know. You can actually purchase a Finale keyboard overlay, and it just sits right on your keyboard, and it has all the shortcuts. And so if you really get into notation software, if you really get into Finale notation software, highly recommend it. Again, I don't teach shortcuts. There's a few standard ones like copy, paste, and undo. Those same shortcuts that you use in a Word document, it also works here. As you can see, our score kind of looks like a mess. So let's go through our tools up here. Right now, what is selected is your selection tool, and that is exactly what it sounds like. When you need to select something, for example, I want to move something, you'll use your selection tool. We're gonna use that tool right now to kind of clean this up. Grab lyricist and hit delete. We don't need lyricist. Grab composer and hit delete. We don't need that. The hymn number we are going to keep. We're gonna move it over. But we don't need the words hymn number, we just need the number. So to change this already existing text box, we can do a right click. Like every software you use this semester, right click opens up even more tools, okay? So we are going to edit this text, and we're just going to put in 180. Okay, now, right now we are in the text tool, so you will notice that no longer is the selection tool selected, it's the text tool. And once that text tool starts working, you will see that this new tool has popped up here. So you can go into that tool and you can change your font and your size, your style, all of these things, okay? Okay, we're gonna leave that for right now. I'm gonna come back. You've got to go back over and get your selection tool so we can grab the title. Again, you can make this smaller if you want to. I'm not going to require it, but you can. We can grab this conviction, move it over here. Now, we are going, you can add the italicization as well. I don't require it, but if you want to mess around, just know it's the same thing. Okay, we are, however, going to add that -96 on there. So if you recall, to edit this, we're going to right click and we're going to edit the text. There it is. And here we'll add in the -96. Now, let's say that you needed to change it so that it was a dotted quarter or a half note. right down here, insert note, is where you would find those different note values. Okay, that's where it is. All right, we're done there. There we go. Now it looks better. Let's continue with that text tool because we need to add in both of the verses and the text and music. Oh, look at that. See that? There's that copyright that we didn't want. Go ahead and select that and delete it. This is not copyrighted music. So hit your text tool again, and you can start by adding in the 5th and 6th verse. Now the layout's going to be a little bit different. You'll see that the justification, we don't call it alignment, I don't know why. The justification's a little bit different. When you go down to the next line, if you want it to look exactly like the hymn, just make sure that you go over. Selection tool, right click, edit text. It's already, looks like it's already selected. Let's do it again just in case. All right, text, font size, 18. There we go. That's what that was. Okay, good. So we're going to need to make this one a little bit smaller in font size. That looks right. So font size should be 10. Okay, so again, when you add in the 6th verse, you're just going to do the same thing. Use that text tool, come down here, double click into the score, the text box pops up, and then you can do the exact same thing. Good, and then to move it around, go back to your selection tool, and then you can move it around. And also change your font. Edit text. Make sure it's selected. Our font size is 10. There we go. Okay. And then go down and do the same thing again using that text tool. Come down here, double click, and you'll do your text. Remember, go up to the text tool, and if you click on style, you can do the italic, text, music, and then let's also add in transcribed by and put your name. So get all of that in there. Do not worry about the scriptures. Just get that information in. Again, this is all about learning tools. It's about learning tools. And that font size is 10. Okay, and then go back to your selection tool so you can move that all around and get it looking at, again, as close to the original. There we go, right in line with that as possible. Okay, all right, well, we've done all that work. That's great. Now we need to actually put some music in here. The fun. Okay, before we do that, let's get this score looking like it does in the hymn book. And we're going to do that by moving some measures around. So right now you've got 2 even length staves. Then we have this extra one. When you have a measure that you want to move, you just need to select it and use your arrow keys. Now, Finale is so finicky about selection. This is a selection, but this is also a selection. And the other one, the first one I did, isn't going to let you move. So you have to be really conscious of, like, do I have the entire measure selected or just a portion of the measure? You have to be very, very careful. So once that whole measure is selected, just come down onto your keyboard and hit your up arrow key. And there we go. So we need 7 measures on each line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously we're short, so select this entire measure, the entire measure, hit that up arrow key again. There we go. Now, just kind of looking ahead, we know we have to fit 4 verses into these staves. Oh, let me go back one more. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put some space in between the treble and the bass clef. We're going to do that by coming over to a new tool. So let's just kind of scan over. We have the selection tool, the staff tool, the key signature tool, the time signature tool, the clef tool, and the measure tool. We're going to use the staff tool right now to kind of move things around. These little editing boxes will pop up depending on the tool. So when these pop up, these are kind of like flags, like when you work in these boxes or move these boxes, things will change, okay? So we need to move down this bass clef, and when we do, we're gonna click on this little box that's in the bass clef. So now we are going to adjust this bass clef. So staff tools on, click. We see these little editing boxes pop up. We're going to grab the one that's in the bass clef. When we do, you'll see a measurement pop up. Keep track so that you can make the other one match. And we'll go ahead and go, oh, that seems like a lot. Let's go 1.75. There we go. Now, if for some reason the lower staff didn't also move, you can do them independently. And so now just grab that box and do the same thing. So they should match, and that should be plenty of room. And then if you need to, come down here and adjust things, again, using your selection tool, come down and adjust these things. Again, our goal is to match the original text as much as possible. None of these will be quite perfect, not because we can't do it, because it's just not always worth it. Sometimes it's best just to accept what Hymnal gives us. So there's lots of different ways to enter notes into Hymnal. My favorite way is to hook up a MIDI cable, sit down at your digital piano, and just play the notes in. That's really the best way. For people who use notation software a lot, they get really, really fast using the shortcut and the input with their computer keyboard, and that works great too. There's also the hyperscribe method, which again requires a MIDI cable. We don't have any of these things in this scenario, so we're just going to use plain old simple entry, and that works fine as well. So come on over, again, staff tool, key signature tool, time signature tool, clef tool, measure tool, and here's our simple entry tool. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is select the duration of the note you want to put in. Here we go. So we can do that. Once you put it in, you can just use your mouse, or you can actually come over onto your computer keyboard and just put in the letter G. That works well too. I recommend going measure by measure. Whoops, sorry, that's in there. Okay, the input works better. If you jump back, sometimes it will autofill with rests, and it's this whole thing. Here's the other thing you have to know, is that for 4-part writing, you have layers. There are layers right down here. And this gives you independence with your stems. So for example, in 4-part writing, typically you'll have soprano with the up stems, alto with a down stem. In this instance, the soprano and alto stems are connected, and so we're totally fine. But if you needed those alto stems to go in another direction, you've got to change your layer, and then put notes in. Let me demonstrate this for you really quickly. So we'll just come over here and kind of repeat that. Now, if I need those alto stems to go in a different direction, I need to put on the second layer, add those notes in, and there we get the separate direction, okay? Same, layer 3 is for your tenor, and layer 4 is for your bass. Also know that if you are going to use layers, for you to edit those layers, you have to make sure that you're in the proper layer. So as always, with all this software, when you're using multiple tools, you got to make sure that you have the tool selected and you're using the right tool at the right time for the right thing. Let me warn you of something about not finishing measures. So here I've got my half note selected, and I've put in my soprano and alto, and I'm like, oh, I still have half note selected. I'll just go down and put in my tenor and bass. Here's the problem. Right there, you saw Hymnal was like, oh, you're done with this measure? We're going to go ahead and fill it with a rest, which is kind of helpful, except that now to go back and put those notes in, you have to then delete that rest. And so you've kind of added a few extra clicks. Is it a disaster? No, but it's just more efficient to do one whole measure and then move to the next whole measure. And that's part by part. Okay, so let's grab that eraser. That's your eraser right there. Erase that rest. Grab your quarter notes and then continue on happily. Okay, time for a new tool. We need to add a sharp symbol. So whether it's a sharp or a flat or a natural, you need to come over and select it along with the note duration. So I'm going to select it right here, and there you see it pop up. But as soon as we're done with it, we need to unselect it. So make sure you unselect it before you put in the next note, like so. Same thing with the next measure. We're going to put in a natural sign. It's a dotted quarter, so make sure you grab that dot. And then we're going to add in the natural sign right there. But of course, make sure that you get rid of that natural sign before you place the next note. Time for a new tool. Okay, so right here in the first measure of the second line, we need to add in a courtesy accidental, which is a B flat. The B flat is in the key signature, but because it was a B natural in the previous measure, the editor has decided to be nice. So if you look over on your assignment instructions, you'll find this at the bottom of the instructions, and it's called a courtesy accidental. So we're going to find this by going into the simple entry tool. So first thing we're going to do is we need to select the note that we want. Okay, so we want to see that note turn up in purple. Okay, then we're just going to type the letter P on your keyboard right there. If you do it one time, it puts it in parentheses. If you hit it a second time, it takes it out of parentheses. Ta-da! So let me do that again. So make sure the note is purple. Make sure that it's highlighted. Okay. Then hit P. There it is. In parentheses. Hit the P again. Now it is without parentheses. Now let's talk about the colors that we see. Purple indicates that that note is active. It's being edited. You might see some other colors, and that has to do with range. To make that adjustment, come up here to View, and you'll see Out of Range Notes. You can select the level or just turn it off. And I recommend just turn it off because it's going to keep popping up and it's going to drive you crazy. And you're going to say, why is that note orange or yellow or whatever that color is? Just go ahead and turn it off. If you're doing a lot of composition, it can be very helpful, but it's not perfect in its knowledge of range. And range is highly subjective. So go ahead and just turn it off. And then you won't see weird colors that make you wonder what's happening. So at this point, go ahead and finish up inputting all of your notes. And the next thing I'm going to show you is how to put in some lyrics. So I have not input all the notes. I'm not going to, I'm just going to save some time here, but I want to show you a few things before I show you the lyrics tool. One is that copy and paste function is very similar. So I have the selection tool on, and let's say you have a measure that totally repeats. Just like you would in other software, you can select that and hit Control Copy or Control C, and then come to the measure where you want to place it, even if it's in a different clef, and hit Control V. Once that's selected, you can even change the octave by hitting 8 and 9, and that will change the octave as well. So that's a great option. You can even right click on it and you can transpose it if you need to. So let's say you just want it to go up a third or a fourth. You can do that right here as well. And it can be chromatic or diatonic, anything like that. So lots of cool options to help you shortcut this. Again, I'm not going to put all the notes in because I don't want to. Don't have to, but you have to, my friends. So my next task is to show you how to input the lyrics. Before we do that, if you have not saved this recently or at all, this is the time to do it. So make sure you've got File. We're going to click Save As. As always, please make sure you know where you're saving your documents. If you need to create a new folder, whatever you need to do. All right, so now we are ready. Now, if we were in the lab, I would say to you, be careful with this tool. The computer might lock up. I'm at home, so I'm hoping that means I'm free and clear. Right here is a little funny ink pot, and this is where, that's our lyrics tool. So when you select this, you'll see lyrics just popped up there, okay? These little arrows over here are showing you where that first line of lyrics is going to be. So if you want it higher or lower, this is the time to make that change. We're just going to accept where it puts it. Okay, now the lyrics tool is on, and there's also a lyrics window. You do not, you'll use this lyrics window, but you're going to type your lyrics into the score. So as you can see, when I come over here, there's this little arrow that pops up, and that's just letting me know that this edit I'm going to make is going to be attached to that soprano clef. And that's great. That's what we want. Okay. Not the soprano clef, the treble clef. A few other things in here. Sorry, if we come over here to the lyrics tool, you've got alignment and justification, auto number. That's an important one. Yes, we want to auto number our verses. Okay, you're not going to see anything happen, but when you start, it'll pop up. So here we go. We're going to click into the score. There it is. Okay, and so you see the cursor in the score. Okay, so you're going to type by syllable. So you're going to put in FA. Yes, put in the hyphen. You won't see it turn up until you put in the next syllable. And there it is. Okay. So now keep going, and it'll continue to space itself out. You just keep hitting your space bar or your cursor bar to go over to the next syllable. Okay, I'm having issues, but hopefully you double clicked into your score, you started typing, your verse number popped up, the hyphen showed up, and you just keep using the space bar to keep going. Hopefully that's happened for you. I'm now going to save and shut down and restart my finale again. And if this happens to you, my friends, don't feel badly. Every semester when I teach this, using the lyrics tool causes this problem. When you're ready to go to your next verse, just make sure that you have that lyrics window open and then change to verse 2. Come back over here, double click into the score, and you can see where it's going to place that. If you want to add some space, just come over here and move it down. Okay, you have all these little arrows. Let me show you the last part of this. When we're done, we're not done because we, of course, cannot send this. This is a proprietary editable file. It's a MUSX file, which is not going to work. We need that to be a PDF. So just like other software, we're going to come over here to export, and we're going to select PDF. As always, make sure you know where you have saved this. And then double check to make sure that it has created that PDF. And there's the PDF. And that PDF is what you will upload to, let's take a look at that PDF. There it is. And so when you're done, it's going to look fabulous and be done correctly. Make sure that is what is uploaded to the Canvas submission folder. Mac users, yours is funny. When you go to export it, you're not going to export it. You're going to File, Print. And when your print dialog box up, you'll probably see your printer that you're connected to, but drop it down and you'll see a PDF. You're going to print to PDF. And then when you do that, a save dialog box should pop up. Whew. Okay, my friends, this is a long tutorial, but it gets you into Finale and hopefully it gives you all the information you need. Again, if you have any problems, just send me a quick email. Also highly recommend the user manual. It's pretty decent, but there's also the tutorials on the Sister Crawford YouTube channel. And yeah, so I feel like you guys are really smart and capable. You'll figure this out. And if you can't, send me an email. Good luck.